There's something almost chilling about the silence between Prince William and Prince Harry. I mean, seriously, two brothers who once seemed inseparable, who leaned on each other through the darkest days of their lives, now walking around like strangers? If you'd told people years ago that the royal Golden Boys would reach this point, no one would have believed you. But here we are. And guess what? According to royal insiders, there's one very big reason behind William's refusal to patch things up: Meghan Markle. And no, this isn't just another tired round of finger-pointing at Meghan. We've all heard the endless chatter, the conspiracy theories, the hot takes. But this one is different. It's coming from Ingrid Seward, the longtime editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, someone who has been covering the royal beat for decades. And her take? William's silence isn't even about Harry anymore. It's about Meghan. Yes, you heard that right. Meghan has become the central reason William doesn't even want to try reconnecting. And it's not out of jealousy, not some childish rivalry. It's about trust, or the lack of it. William, according to Seward, simply does not trust Meghan. And when you think about it, it almost makes sense. This isn't just a matter of family drama. For William, Meghan represents something terrifying: unpredictability, disloyalty, the risk that any private conversation whispered behind palace doors could show up in a podcast, an Oprah interview, or, let's be real, another Netflix documentary. That's not just awkward, that's downright dangerous for the man next in line to the throne. Because let's not forget what happened. The Oprah bombshell, the tell-all memoir, the Spotify drama, the Netflix series, every single one of those projects made one thing clear: nothing behind royal walls is safe anymore. For William, how do you even begin to rebuild a relationship with your brother when every word you say could become tomorrow's headline? And it's not just William feeling this way. According to Seward, a large portion of the monarchy's staunchest supporters, the traditionalists who believe in protecting the crown at all costs, can't stand Meghan either. And while public opinion shouldn't dictate private family matters, in the royal world, perception is everything. If you're the future king of England, you can't just act as a brother, you have to act as an institution. And openly embracing Harry and Meghan, that could easily be seen as a liability. But here's where it gets even deeper. Meghan, according to Seward, has a pattern of cutting ties. Think about it. She's completely estranged from her father, Thomas Markle. Harry has never even met him. Let that sink in. Her own husband has never shaken hands with the man who raised her. And while Thomas isn't exactly perfect, doesn't that feel extreme? That's exactly the point Seward makes. If Meghan could cut off her own father, what's stopping her from doing the same to Harry's family? To William, it paints a picture of someone who doesn't mend bridges, she burns them. And in a family like the Windsors, where discretion and loyalty are worth more than gold, that's terrifying. Because once trust is broken, especially in that world, rebuilding it is almost impossible. Now, maybe William is being overly cautious. Maybe he's letting fear win, but honestly, he has a lot to lose. He's not just Harry's brother, he's the heir to the throne. And when the stakes are that high, even a sliver of doubt is enough to keep the walls up. What really makes all this so heartbreaking is that it didn't have to get this bad. The cracks in Harry and William's relationship didn't happen overnight. People close to the royals saw the signs years ago. Little disagreements, subtle changes in tone, but no one thought it would end in total silence. These brothers shared everything. They lost their mother. They grew up in the relentless glare of the spotlight. They served in the military. There was a bond, a deep respect. But over time, it started to unravel. And according to Seward, Meghan wasn't just a part of that shift. She was the breaking point. This wasn't about William being jealous of Harry's new wife or Harry's happiness. That's too simple. No. It was about Meghan introducing unpredictability into a system that thrives on order and control. When Harry and Meghan left the royal family, they didn't slip out quietly. They went loud. They aired grievances. They signed deals. They made sure the world knew exactly why they were walking away. And for William, who has been groomed his entire life to protect the crown, it wasn't just a betrayal of the institution. It was personal. And let's talk about Meghan's family connections, or lack thereof. Seward points out something striking. Meghan seems to have almost no ties left with the people she grew up with. Her father, her half-siblings, extended relatives, all gone. Even her children, Archie and Lilibet, barely know their grandparents. Lilibet has reportedly only met King Charles once, at the Jubilee. Once. And Thomas Markle? He's older, unwell, and has never met his son-in-law or his grandchildren. That's not just unusual, it's shocking. And it feeds into the narrative William can't ignore. A woman who cuts ties so completely that even her children are being raised without strong family connections. To William, that looks less like protecting your peace and more like discarding people when they no longer fit. And for the royals, who see family as duty above all else, that's terrifying. This is why William hesitates. It's not just about avoiding Meghan personally. It's about the risk she represents, the possibility that any reconciliation could explode back into the headlines. And in a monarchy where every move is scrutinized, William can't take that risk. But behind all this formality and careful calculation, there's also pain. This isn't just politics, this is family. Two brothers who once shared everything now can't even share a conversation. It's tragic. Strip away the titles, the palaces, the crowns, and it's just two sons of Diana who can't find their way back to each other. And honestly, the one person who might have been able to fix this mess isn't here anymore. Their mother. Princess Diana would never have let it get this bad. Those who knew her say she would have forced her boys to sit down, shut out the noise, and remember what really matters. Some think she'd side with Harry. Others believe she'd understand William's sense of duty. But in truth, she would have been the bridge. She would have found a way to bring them together. But without her, that role is empty, and the silence only grows louder. Here's where the heartbreak deepens. Diana's two boys, the ones she poured every ounce of love into, have grown into men carrying her legacy in two completely opposite ways. Harry has taken on her rebellious fire, daring to speak out against the monarchy, swinging at every injustice he believes in. Meanwhile, William has gone the other route, trying to embody the stability and composure his father never quite managed. And what happens when those two legacies collide? You get exactly what we're watching now. Two brothers locked in a silent war, with Meghan Markle standing right at the center of the storm. Whether she wants to or not, Meghan has become the lightning rod for everything. Every single thing she does, an outfit, a speech, even an Instagram post, gets picked apart and linked back to the feud. Supporters claim she's being unfairly targeted, blamed for a family that was already fractured. Critics insist she struck the match and then walked away, leaving William and Harry to pick through the ashes. Either way, Meghan's shadow hangs over every piece of this story. And the more you look at her recent moves, the more suspicious it seems. That sudden rebrand, the carefully polished solo lifestyle, those elegant photo shoots with not a hint of family in sight. People can't help but feel like it's all calculated. A way to control the narrative, to keep her distance while still keeping the spotlight. And while that might be smart PR, for William it looks like proof that Meghan has no interest in rebuilding ties at all. And poor Harry, he's stuck in the middle. He's not fully Hollywood, not fully royal. His memoir showed just how deeply he resents his past, but it also exposed something else. A man who clearly still craves family. You can feel it between the lines, this longing for connection, for reconciliation. But the question is, does he even know how to fix it anymore? Or has he gone too far, said too much, burned too many bridges to ever find his way back? Let's not forget the ripple effect no one talks about, Archie and Lilibet. These children are growing up in an in-between world. They're not palace royals, but they're not regular American kids either. They're caught in the middle, raised by parents who've cut themselves off from almost everyone who came before. And while that isolation might feel protective now, what happens when they're older? What happens when they start asking questions about their heritage? About the grandparents and cousins they've barely met? That's the kind of family tension that doesn't just vanish. It echoes for generations. And the thing is, this isn't unusual for the royals. Family has always been complicated for them. From Edward VIII giving up the throne for Wallis Simpson, to Charles and Diana's messy divorce, to Andrew's scandals, there's always been drama lurking under the surface. But with William and Harry, it's different. This is raw. This is emotional. This is two brothers whose bond was supposed to be unbreakable, and now it looks shattered beyond repair. And it's not like William can just call Harry up and say, "Let's talk." Every move he makes has political consequences. Every olive branch extended risks being turned into content. That's the cold reality. Any reconciliation has to come with ironclad assurance it won't leak. But with Harry and Meghan's track record of explosive revelations, William doesn't believe that's possible. The tightrope William is walking is brutal. On one side, his brother. On the other, the crown, the country, and the role he's been preparing for his entire life. If he makes the wrong move, he risks both. And in that balancing act, Harry's left out in the cold. But behind all this strategy, the emotional toll is devastating. William and Harry don't even speak about each other anymore. You can see the pain in the way they avoid questions, in the silence that says more than words ever could. This isn't just estrangement, it's heartbreak, and the whole world is watching it unfold. And the saddest, most gut-wrenching part? The only person who could have mended this rift, the one person who could have dragged them both to the table and forced them to see past the drama, isn't here anymore. Diana would never have allowed it to spiral this far. She would have reminded them in her way that before the duty and the titles and the cameras, they were just brothers. But without her, there's no referee, no peacemaker, just silence. Now people speculate endlessly. Would Diana have sided with Harry, the rebel who inherited her fire? Or William, the steady heir carrying the weight of the monarchy? Truthfully, it doesn't matter, because Diana wouldn't have chosen sides. She would have chosen both. She would have found a way to remind them of their bond, of the little boys they once were. And maybe that's why this all feels so tragic, because the very thing she tried to instill in them, love and loyalty to each other, is what's missing most. And here's where the legacy splits wide open. Harry clings to Diana's defiance, her refusal to bow to the crown. William clings to her warmth, but channels it into duty, trying to be the stability his father never was. Both are carrying pieces of her, but instead of bringing them together, it's driving them apart. So now, the world watches two men who were once the face of brotherly strength, now symbols of royal fracture. And Meghan, whether fair or not, she's become the icon of mistrust in William's eyes. As long as she's in the picture, reconciliation feels impossible. Still, even with all the bitterness, there's a quiet hope. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about thrones or palaces, it's about family. And no one wants to believe two brothers who survived the unimaginable together, who leaned on each other when the world felt cruel, would let pain, pride, and politics destroy everything. Maybe one day, years from now, we'll see them side by side again, not for cameras or crowds, but for each other. Maybe, but right now, the silence says it all. Silence says it all. Silence.